I am so excited about today's conversation. Tori, thank you so much for joining me. And before we get into our conversation, I just want to introduce myself and then have you introduce yourself. So I'm Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution. And Tori, tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you are, just so that everybody knows what it is that you do for your clients.
Perfect. So my name is Victoria W. Sullivan, CPA. That is my firm, and I go by Tori for short. Our office does taxes and accounting work for clients we're located in California, but we do taxes for anyone in the United States.
Excellent. And one of the things that I wanted to find out is really about your journey over the past year. So what were things like before you and I connected, actually?
Well, pretty chaotic. And honestly, I was really discouraged and frustrated because I felt like although I was charging decent rates, I still felt like there were a lot of things that I was doing for my clients that I was not getting paid for. And a lot of the extras and things because we really try to go the extra mile to give our clients the best service that we can. And so that's a lot of what we were dealing with is a lot of things we were doing that just weren't getting billed for.
And that's something I really hear that's a common occurrence is you're doing some things because you're so client-centered. You want your clients to succeed, but because that you might not be getting compensated because it's a give or maybe a request or something you initiated, as opposed to something where you're having that conversation about the investment for doing that. So is there something maybe that brought this to your attention where, okay, I need to take charge of this, something needs to happen, and you started looking for some help?
Yes. Well, it had kind of been in the back of my mind since I started my firm to look at package pricing. And I had seen a webinar of yours on now I can't think of the name of the website. But when I saw it, I was thinking of starting my own firm. I thought, I think I want to look into something like this. So, but it just got put on the back burner, and I started my firm and was just doing everything I need to do to make ends meet and kind of basically in survival mode, Lauren. And after probably a couple of years of that, it was enough where I just felt like I really needed help. I didn't know how to do this. I tried another system before I went to you, and it was extremely complicated to try to come up with the packages for the clients, and stretched me beyond things that I really wanted to do for the clients. It just didn't work for me. And I really loved your presentation and honestly, your personality and the way you come across. And I just wanted to work with someone that I felt intuitively was going to be a good support for me. And so that's why I decided to look for help. And specifically, I looked you up.
And one of the things I've seen, and it's true for me too, Tori, is that I know that there's a problem that needs to change, and I might try a couple of things and not get the results, but I feel like I'm this hopeful romantic. I know it's possible. It's just, why isn't it working for me? So I appreciate your persistence and that you were willing to kind of reach out and see if that's something I could help you transition over with the package and the pricing, especially because doing it for tax firms is a little bit different than doing it for bookkeeping or accounting services that are more recurring and don't have the same type of seasonality. So do you have now packages that you feel work for your tax firm?
Yes. Yes, I do. And that's part of what I really enjoyed about the process of working with you is that it's not a one size fits all sort of thing. You were very, I suppose I could say flexible, but there's probably a better adjective for that. But anyway, to look at what works for my firm, what works for me. And so we were able to work together and come up with things that I feel very comfortable with the packages now and moving forward. And even when I have new clients in, creating those packages for them.
And one of the things I know that we did together is we created the packages together. It wasn't like I gave you the concept and said, oh, go do this on your own.
Exactly. And that's what I really needed. I was just so overwhelmed with trying to come up with it. And, it's the time it takes to come up with them. And I needed to be handheld.
And I appreciate the fact that you're transparent with that. So one of the things that I see is usually there's awareness about something you want to be able to do differently, and then actually going ahead and doing it. There's a gap of time between that first thought and actually implementing. So how long did you think about maybe wanting to have packages and actually raising your fees before you went ahead and we started doing that together?
Well, as I said, it was from the inception. I knew I wanted to do it a little differently. It was just a matter of finding the space, time, and making sure I have the right person to help me with that. So honestly, it was a year and a half, a couple of years around in there that I was thinking about it.
And sometimes when it comes to actually making those decisions, as you said, you were already really busy, there was overwhelm going on. It's like, I don't know if I have the capacity to do that. So were there any obstacles maybe that were coming up for you when we talked about moving forward and working together to achieve this?
Well, I would say most of them were internal obstacles, honestly. It's a lot of mindset, which is honestly I think by and large, other than the packages themselves, that's the biggest win for me in working with you is you've changed my mindset and helped me get beyond that and to see what the possibility, not just what the possibilities are, but the roadmap of how to get there and that it is achievable and doable. And so those were the obstacles of just feeling like I don't have the time. I can't get in. So I think in just on, setting aside the time to meet with you each month, it forced me in a way to set aside the time to work on my practice, which I didn't think I had time for before working with you. And it turns out it was just a matter of figuring out how to make it work. And we did.
And I know that last time that we had a session together, you were talking about the growth that you experienced, and you alluded it to here. So how do you see that you're approaching things differently than you had maybe prior to our work together?
Well, I think the huge mindset shift is on value. That's what is really great, is to think of not just how long does this take. That was drilled into me from the beginning of my career of, because everything is billed by the hour. So you're constantly focused on, am I taking too long? Am I, and if you do it quickly and you've learned how to do it, now your income goes down when you're billing by the hour. So that was the biggest shift in mindset. And it was the pleasant surprise I got is the shift in how I think about my own professional value to my clients. The value I bring is not in the number of hours I work with them. It's in what I deliver to them, the tax return, the tax planning, and honestly, also factoring in with that value is the care and attention that I give to them, the availability that I, give to them. And so those type of things, which are really kind of esoteric things to think of and nebulous and hard to, how do you put a dollar value on that? And that's what felt so overwhelming. And that's what you really helped kind of bring those thoughts in from being, to like, okay, here's what we do step by step. So that was really helpful.
And I think that listening to you, when I talk with so many firm owners, the way that they calculate their fees is first, okay, how long do I think this will take? And multiply by my hourly rate and hope that I got it right.
Right.
And then and then sometimes end up undercharging, and then there's regrets with that. So it keeps you with something safe, which is charging for your time. But one of the things that you are talking about is you were able to now focus on the value to your clients, and that you had awareness now about what that value is, and realizing that it has nothing to do with your time whatsoever. So it's about the deliverables, the outcome, how they benefit, as opposed to how much time it takes you to do that. And as a result of that, it seems like your clients have shifted in who you're working with and how you work with them, because now you have time to be more client-centered even than you were before. Is that something that you saw for yourself too, Tori?
Yes, definitely. And it really changed, how I looked at onboarding new clients, especially because of that. I think about, like you said, not just how much time is it's going to take, but what the value is to the new client, and in how I present the packages, how I present my services. That was a really big shift for me.
I also feel that you've become more selective. It's not just anybody who's willing to pay your
Oh,
fee.
for sure. Yes, yes. And to feel that I have the freedom to do that I'm not necessarily, sometimes as the owner of an accounting firm, you feel like, well, if I turn down this tax return, oh no, what if there's a little bit of panic involved with that. And you feel like, well, I have a client that came to me, I better take what I can get. It's that mindset of I'll take what I can get versus I'm going to get what I deserve. And that's a huge shift. And I've realized I deserve to have clients that are just as pleasant as I am to work with, and to realize that also it doesn't do anybody any favors. If you choose somebody that's way outside of your comfort zone, you're not going to do your best for them, and it's not going to be a good fit. So it was, really enhanced my firm to be able to say, these are the type of clients I want, or this is the industry I prefer, and those type of things, and to feel confident and comfortable in saying, I think you're really a sweet person, but I don't think we're a good fit.
And part of what you're talking about isn't just now the mindset piece any longer. It's really some of the strategies that you put in place to be able to actually take that concept and make it happen. So do you feel that there are any specific strategies that you can share which maybe help to increase your revenues as well as free up your time, especially during the tax season part of it? Because I know this past tax season was very different than previous ones.
Yes. Well, I think that strategies, there would be perhaps setting expectations ahead of time that people understand they're going to go on an extension, and, to be really upfront with how we work together. That really helped. And in freeing up my time, part of that was adding, I was able to get a really great contact from you for a subcontracting, and that was a huge shift for me. So my time is freed up. I'm no longer in the position of just doing, and then I'm the workhorse. Instead, I have somebody else that is helping me and performing the work, and I'm in more of the reviewing, making sure that the quality control is there, and being the face that the customers see, and having more time to give that service that I really want to give my clients.
And I think that that was a big shift, which you didn't expect, was that there was some of the more technical aspects that someone at a lower level could do, and actually finding someone that you felt comfortable with passing that on to, so that you can focus on the more complicated things that only you can do in your firm, was a big adjustment for you. But it had so many more benefits to it than you even initially realized. And it was a little bit risky doing it because it was a huge change in how you approach things up until now.
Definitely. Yes.
And one of the other things I just want to mention also earlier was you talked about the fact that you already had been charging, good fees. Did your fee structure change, or did you find that you were able to actually still increase your rates, even though you were already charging nice prices to begin with?
Yes. And that's what I alluded to earlier about realizing that there were things I was doing that I'm not billing for, or
Mhm.
severely underbilling for things. Maybe I billed a little bit, a token amount, but it was that. And also not just on the tax returns themselves, but the services that, for instance, if people are late getting their stuff, that end of the tax year is what I mean, when people are, it's getting close to the deadline and people are starting to, oh yeah, and then you get a rush of things, and the stress in those last 2 weeks before the tax due dates was tremendous. And you really helped change that in, charging fees, increased rates for those really pressured times. And, that's an example of ways that I was able to increase my income. And like I said, and then even forms and other extra things that I was just doing for clients without charging them. It's like, well, that's part of the tax return, and just kind of feel like I'll deal with it this year. And you helped me kind of realize that's not the way to go to be really successful, is that we need to charge. There's a value to that. There's a value to handling these extra forms and things that I'm doing for clients, and that I deserve to be remunerated for those. So
You
thank
deserve to be well paid.
well paid. There we go.
Uh, and part of what I heard also was we adjusted your onboarding process. So is there a way that you approach now projects in order to be able to price for the value instead of the time that we haven't touched on yet?
I think just being far more thorough on the onboarding and making sure that everything is that there's a review process for looking at the client's books, charging a diagnostic fee up front to say, yeah, I would love to quote you a price on this, but I'm going to have to look into that. And there's a fee associated with that. And I definitely was not charging for anything like that beforehand. So that all part of the onboarding process, and having a clear outline of like, what are my questions, and the whole kind of an interview process with my clients to really flush out, are they a good match? And if so, what are the services they need, and what is the value to them? That was really helpful for me.
And what you ended up doing that I hear you describing is you now have more of a system.
Yes.
So you know what questions to be asking when you're first meeting with someone. You're able to then move those people into a paid diagnostic, which means that you now have a new stream of revenue that you didn't have before, because you're getting compensated for something you gave away for free. And you have also a process for assessing a project or the work before you go ahead and commit to what the price ought to be.
Yes.
Did I miss anything on that?
No, that's exactly correct. Yeah. Well said.
Okay. And getting back to the rates and everything, because so often that it's easy to increase rates with new clients, but your legacy clients, we avoid doing that because nobody wants the pushback or have to justify it. So is there anything that you did that helped to increase your rates with your current clients and made it easier than what you feared would happen?
Well, I think it was an issue of reframing it for the client and helping them understand, here's everything that we are doing for you, or have done, or proposing what we are going to do for you, and what that includes. And it almost, I think, several clients were actually pleasantly surprised. It was a positive thing because they didn't realize all the things that I was doing. And so there really wasn't any pushback from from them. I mean, questions, yes, but when your clients really value you and the services you provide, they're more than willing to pay for them and quite understanding. I deal with most of my clients, I would say, at least, if not the client themselves, the spouse is self-employed. And so they understand what it's like. They know, so no, there really wasn't much of a pushback. And like I said, it was more of a strategy of just explaining and outlining what all the services and what that includes. And in packaging those, it helps them to see it all in one bundle. It's like, getting little presents throughout the year is not the same thing visually as a basket full of gifts. And so for them, they realize then, oh, I'm actually getting this like a gift basket kind of pack services. And that helped them be able this totally makes sense and is a great value for them.
I love how you describe it as a gift basket, because I think that you do so much for your clients, and it's proof that when you've already invested and made deposits into the relationship with your clients, they're not going to push back as much because of the fact that they trust you, they know you, and that you're doing something that really is very sensitive to them and their livelihood also. So I think that clients want to know that you have their best interest at heart. And that's something that comes through very strongly with you, Tori.
Oh, thanks.
Mm-hmm. And so is there anything that maybe you've continued to do to kind of fine tune your processes and continue to see growth happening as far as revenues?
Well, I can tell you one thing, and that is, yes, one thing I work on really on a daily basis, it continues to be a growth area, and that is, I'm going to go back to mindset because I can't emphasize it enough. When your mindset changes, everything changes, your outlook changes, and how you approach things, and the rest of it kind of blooms from that. It's like having fertile soil instead of being completely depleted and not much grows there because it's kind of a bit of a hostile environment. And for me, it was like getting fertilizer in my soil and really helping things to be able to grow. So now when I want to plant a seed or start a new project, I'm starting with the proper mindset. And that's really been the most helpful thing to my system. Is honestly, yes, there were things that needed to be systematized and written down and doing all this, but it was much more, like I said, of the mindset and fine-tuning the system. I was holding myself back, and realizing that and your help in overcoming that has been truly transformative.
The other thing that I see, especially as a business owner, is it's not like our business is in this silo and our personal life is here. It gets messy sometimes. So do you feel like there were any personal things that you were able to work through because you had started to make some changes in the way that your business operates?
Well, definitely. I mean, my stress levels have gone down. I mean, we're all going to experience stress, and this can be a stressful industry. So there's a difference, though, in that periodic stress and in that daily stress. And that has lessened it considerably, which directly affects my personal life. And also feeling more comfortable in prioritizing those things of taking proper breaks, and yes, it will get done and it's going to be all right. And I think that is how it affects mostly my personal life. Although, to be honest with you, there's also the aspect of clients texting on my personal phone and like that, in the evenings, and getting the help in how to address that and to change those behaviors with my client. That definitely affects my personal life. So, yeah.
I love the fact that you now have boundaries.
Yes.
Right? It makes such a huge difference.
It does. It really does.
And it's really evidence of how you've been able to connect with your value of what you offer, and that you've always wanted to have a business that raises your quality of life instead of one that continues to take from it. And you've been able to make that transformation within your firm. So kind of one more thing around that line then, what do you see as different maybe in your business as well as your personal life because of the fact that you're now able to charge higher fees, you've created new streams of income, you're getting compensated instead of giving things away? Anything else that you've noticed that's different?
Hmm.
And I know that we've touched on a lot.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't want to keep repeating myself because
No,
then I feel like, um,
so let me maybe ask it differently. Is there anything where maybe you had cash flow concerns and you don't now?
okay, yes, definitely there. I think the shift to upfront pricing
Mm-hmm.
really helps. So I'm not constantly chasing the money. And um and also being able to when you do the upfront pricing and the packages, it kind of gives you an idea of about what does your income look like this year. You can plan better. You can, and there's less fear of that kind of thing when you're in the forest, so to speak. It really is hard to see the trees. And to see how big the forest is, you're just kind of day to day trying to get it done and to get through each tax return and move on to the next one. And in this case, it helped me get a better overview of my workflow and workload and plan accordingly.
With you going to the upfront pricing, it means that you're now getting prepaid before you're doing the taxes, which is so uncommon in the traditional firm. But because you were willing to have the courage to make that happen and try it, it sounds like it's had benefits that you weren't able to fully anticipate because you did something different.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
and
for
kudos to
sure.
you for being brave to do that.
Oh, thank you.
And did you have any pushback with clients as far as the upfront pricing goes?
No, quite a few people actually liked it because they weren't getting a tax bill right when they have to pay their
Mhm.
taxes. So far there hasn't been, I have had zero pushback on the upfront. People are just take it as a matter of course.
Very nice. Is there anything else maybe that we haven't touched on that you would like to mention?
Um,
We
you
covered
know,
a lot.
yeah, we did. I think the main thing that we haven't touched on that I want to make sure that I express to you is on a more person to person basis how much I really did enjoy working with you. And even I have a subcontractor that comes in and helps with my admin work, and sometimes I'll be on a call with you and she would come in and the comments of like, oh wow, she really enjoyed your point of view and just had a lot of really good things to say on top of the things I already had good to say. So you're just a really, really great person to work with and to help people establish boundaries, helping me with that and those kind of things. Your intuition on how to work with people and tacts to take that are going to work for them is just spot on, and I really enjoyed that.
I thank you so much. I appreciate hearing that, and that as a result of it, you made an investment in yourself, and as you've been able to lift yourself up and how you're working with your firm, it also means that you're having an impact on your clients, and hopefully that is something that they're able to pass forward as well. So it's kind of like that butterfly effect.
Yes.
And Tori, if somebody wanted to reach out, talk to you, you inspire them, they want to know more about what you do, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
They can go to my website. It's victoriasullivan.cpa. I'm also on LinkedIn. They can find me there under Victoria Sullivan. and they can shoot me an email. My email is Tori, Tori, at victoriasullivan.cpa.
Tori, I so appreciate us having this conversation and you sharing. I know that you'll be inspiring others to be able to move forward in the same way that you have as well. And for everybody joining us, thank you so much. This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, showing firm owners how to double their income working half the